You got enough money in here to take care of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're awfully
It's
tight.
not a,
You're awfully tight this year in the budget for the.
Not a big amount, Ben.
No, it's not a big amount. You got enough. You
Covered
got enough
under
to cover it. That's
contract services and dues.
which
There's
is $5 grand in total
annually,
after the
$5
dues.
grand that we have in there for
Okay.
those type of.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have the zoning board. Now, Kevin, you're doing the zoning board and
Peanuts.
I do it all.
oh, you do it all. I thought so.
We always thought you'd do it all.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And Chairman O'Brien asked me if I would mind just addressing any questions the board may have on the zoning board's budget.
Okay.
Basically, there's nothing to
Zoning board's on 33.
pretty much go over. It's the same as it was last year and pretty much on target. If I did have a comment, I would say that the revenues that were estimated are probably going to come in even more than that. It's busy, and petitions keep coming in. I think I got 7 or 8 on the agenda just for next week. So,
That's a big change, huh?
a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
Good.
So I think pretty much what the proposed budget is 5310. That's what it was last year, and it's pretty much on target.
Okay. Any questions on the zoning? Doesn't appear to be. So you can move right on to building and code inspection.
As far as my department's budget, unfortunately, I'm not coming in flat. I do have an increase. There's 3 main reasons for that. One is wage increases. That was contractual commitments at the town. The other big one is I put in for a new vehicle replacement to replace our other pickup truck, similar to what we did last year. It's a $20,000 number there. And thirdly, I have put in to add a part-time secretary, which I desperately need, just 2 days a week in my office to help with just the overall operation of that office and the volume of work we do. And papers and files and permits and everything we produce, and inspections that are done that have to be logged in. And not only that, she's going to be working with the housing inspector, doing all the rental CO information, because we've got literally hundreds and hundreds of those going on. So that's pretty much my budget. Those are the areas where you see the increases. Again, the truck is a one-time deal. If that gets through next year, that won't be there, so my budget will be reduced $20,000 next year.
Okay. Questions for Kevin? Mr. Pierce.
Yeah, you're thinking about having a part-time secretary, 16 hours a week for 39 weeks, and it's a new position. That would make her part-time, obviously, no doubt about that, for around 10,000, give or take. Mr. Bean mentioned something about a secretary for legal. I guess my question might be for all of us to ponder, if you get a part-time person for a couple of days, we might consider a pool approach where we could have that same person possibly pool for legal and possibly for Mr. Welch. But if he doesn't want a secretary, I guess we don't have to give him one.
My concern would be that if you do that, it's a total amount of time work. They become a permanent employee in their retirement.
You just double the cost.
Yeah, I think
Just double the cost.
I didn't say 40 hours a week. I said 2 hours, 2 days there and 2 days here.
That's 32 hours.
That's more than 32 hours.
Oh, that's the cutoff, 32?
Yeah.
doesn't sound good.
No, I guess not in view of that.
It was 30.
I'm trying.
Well, I'm sure Mark appreciates it.
Mr. Moore.
Supportive of the increase in hours for the health and code inspector and the part-time secretary. Supportive of the new vehicle, and in fact, if finances allow, that might be a nice thing to pick up in December if we're allowed to in this year's cost, just to get it over with.
Good point.
Good job, by the way.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Nichols.
Yeah, a couple of questions, Kevin. So you basically got $4,700 in increases in regular wages, part of which was an increase you had, part of which was Teamsters
Correct.
contract. Is that pretty much those two is what's
Yes.
in that number? Okay. And in the part-time, there's basically a $16,000, $17,000 increase. What is the rough, I don't care about exact numbers, but what is the rough breakout of how much is that? 9,900 of that then, as I'm
Would be-
looking here, is purely the part-time
The new
secretary.
position that I'm trying to create, yes,
And,
sir.
and the balance, $4,000 is the health and code inspector, which is a position that has existed since when?
Since last year, and
So
when
was
we got
added
that
during
in
2012 or 11?
11.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and that difference is very similar to what you see with the part-time secretary.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the 98, 99, 84
Yep.
is for 39 weeks, because it would only be 39 weeks should this budget get passed,
Right.
okay? Next year in 2014,
Understand. Yep.
and that'll be a
A 33% increase.
52
on-
weeks
yeah.
worth of that. So you'll see that adjustment, so very similar.
Okay. Another question is, you've always had pickup trucks, and obviously you recently replaced one with the, Ranger class quarter ton or whatever, four-wheel drive or whatever.
Yes.
Do you, based on what you do you actually need two pickup trucks as opposed to a pickup truck and a smaller vehicle that gets twice the gas mileage and costs less money?
Actually, the trucks work out the best because we're constantly picking up things.
Okay.
That's
I wasn't aware you picked things up.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Yep, and sometimes we're moving things around,
Okay. Okay. I was.
and I gotta tell you, as far as gas mileage, I found, with this new vehicle that we just got, this last year, big difference compared to the one I have now. So we're saving fuel. It's more efficient, definitely.
Okay. I wasn't aware
Yeah, I can
that
show
you
you,
used the bed of that truck to any
they're
extent.
probably full of signs right now.
Yeah, okay. The final point that I'd like to make, and it doesn't directly have to do with building and code inspection, but it's prompted by that. This is the first department we've hit going into this where we've had a substantial increase. Everything else has been so close to flat with the exception of CBA impacts or whatever, whereas this one is a 20% increase. I can support what Kevin is looking to do in the building and code inspection, but in order for me to do that, I think we need to go through the budget, and when I say we, I'm really talking about Fred and Mike. It's not going to come out, or you're not going to find stuff in Kevin's small budget, looking for the opportunities that we can reduce in other areas that can pay for this. I think they're there, and I'll give you a few examples, but I did not in any way, shape, or form go through trying to identify those. For example, when we went through Diana's budget, Diana's got a lifeguard budget that was $26,000 in 2012. She reduced it.
May I? I'm very happy to listen, but can we get through the rest of the people and then go back to that? Because you're talking about a charge to Mike and Fred,
This is another minute.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
not going on forever.
Sorry.
Okay, and I'm giving examples. I'm not going through all of them. I didn't attempt to identify all of them. But my point is, we're going to be adding 20%. We need to look for opportunities. For example, Diana had a $26,000 budget in 2012. For 2012, only spent $11,000 in 2011. She spent under $10,000 through July of this year. I can't imagine she's going to end up at more than $13,000 or $14,000, but she's got a $22,000 budget. You can still put some padding if she finds some additional lifeguards or whatever. You don't need padding that's 60 and 70% of what she's been spending. Electricity, utility fuel. We just went through a whole scenario with the energy broker, saving a lot of money, okay? And we were already way down because of what rates have done, okay? For example, we now have agreements on, I believe, all of the G2 accounts, okay, which are substantial savings, okay, in relation to what's in this budget. And I think there's room to reduce those things to help pay for this. One example, the G2 account, okay, wastewater treatment plant, the budget for that is $200,000. We only spent $160,000 last year, and our run rate this year isn't much more than that. It's $40,000 right there. I'm not saying you have to cut it to the bone,